correct me if I'm wrong, but I seem to remember that MTV, when it first started, it didn't play 24/7. Like, it had a cutoff. I remember HBO was that way, and I want to say MTV was that way.
I don't remember. I remember them.
I don't know.
I remember it on every party I ever went to. It was on a television in some room somewhere. It would always be switched to MTV, and music videos were running for at least.
Well, the reason I brought it up is because I remember in '86. Well, that was when I was a senior, but before that, there was a group of kids that would tell all the other kids that after midnight on HBO, and I swear it was MTV too, but I could be wrong. But if you watched the bug fights, when it was all on TV when it went off the air, that they would play dirty movies in the middle of the night. And then the next day at school, you would look around and see how many of the kids had,
blurry eyes,
and and the correct answer was all of them. Everyone fell for that thing.
Everybody
at some point.
Playing the record backwards to hear those satanic lyrics.
Well,
I just want to, I don't know if this is correct, Chris, but it could mean more about the cable system than the broadcast, the programming of the cable channel. That they're not going to pay to provide the programming. They're not going to pay the provider, like whoever was broadcasting that.
Yeah, Viacom. Whoever was carrying Viacom.
Yeah, I mean, it may be that they were all these things. ESPN. Everybody was doing 24-hour programming, but none of the
affiliates,
distributors were going to pay for something that they thought, who's up in the middle of the night. So we're just going to go to Snow because it's cheaper.
You might be right, but I do.
I don't know.
MTV also might have. MTV might have also been one of those elements that changed that too, because I remember after a certain period, late night MTV became the late night channel, and that sort of started a market which people were like, "Hey, we could sell stuff," and then the next thing you know, that's all you got.
Say that it did change at some point, because we would watch videos all night long on the weekends and stuff, and it was either MTV or it was Turner Broadcasting, I want to say, that did Night Flight, which was another show. I don't know if you ever knew about that. Would have been competition for you, but they had more of the
apparently not. They apparently weren't competition, because
no, they went into oblivion.
Well, I got a question. What can you talk about the difference of coming from KSPN to MTV? In other words, what was the work environments? What were the differences between the two work environments? Because I'm sure, MTV was this. I've been in the offices there because I met with them to do stuff with animation, but it's KSPN. I'm sure is a little more funky.
Yeah, KSPN. And I imagine that this is probably the case KSPN was populated by a bunch of really great, I'm sure they looked at me as a youngster and I looked at them as, all really old, hippie kind of cool people.
Yeah.
But old.
Yeah.
But old. And MTV they were all my age.
Right.
Everybody running the joint was... all the line producers, the directors, everybody was young. The suits were old, and by that,
Turkley and
my guess, but let's see, how old are they? They're probably 10 years older than me,
right.
So they weren't that old, right? Even Tom Freston and Bob Pittman, those guys are probably only 15 years older than me, so maybe. So it was, it was a completely different environment. And that was also in the 80s in New York. So, it was the greed is good kind of era of Wall Street. So the whole city was just populated by young, hungry people.
Wall Street. Yes. That was the whole, the Gordon
Gekko.
Yes.
Yes.